All right. So we are
Okay.
recording.
We are recording.
Agubwa.
And
Ah,
it is.
Goobois. You know where
And
it's
just
at.
for fun, we are actually recording our 97th episode right now.
Woo!
So
Getting
shall
close.
shall I hit the intro?
Let's do it.
When these dads meet world, watching Boy Meets World. We grew up on the show, now we have kids and host a podcast. We watch each episode and then share our thoughts and grades. When these dads meet world.
They want you to take the roles.
Welcome back to Dads Meet World, where we do want you to have all the roles you could want from here all the way to Pittsburgh, wherever here is for you. This is our weekly deep dive where a couple of obsessed dads like to look back at the show Boy Meets World from the 90s and 30 years later see if it still holds up and apply that into our lives as dads. So, as with every week, well, every other week, we like to switch off on hosting duties. I am dad number one, Brett. And joining me in the number two slot is...
It's dad number 2, Tyler, this week.
Tyler, how are you this week? What's been up?
Well, as of recording right now, we're at the final countdown of baby coming. However, when this drops, baby should already be here. So, future Tyler, good luck with whatever lack of sleep you have right now. Yeah. So, no, but things are going pretty good right now. Other than that, just a lot of cleaning, a lot of doing that good old prep work, which hopefully, again, I'm hoping that future Tyler, when he listens to this, is enjoying the work that I'm doing right now. I do think, Brett, it would behoove us to chat about a little something.
Behoove
And then
away.
I'll ask you how you're doing. But there was a little documentary series that was released a few weeks / month ago or so called Quiet on Set.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get the chance to watch that at all?
I have not actually had the time to sit down and watch it. I have heard a lot of stories that have sprung up around it, but I have not had the time to watch it myself.
Mm-hmm. I think the important thing about a documentary like that is to make clear that no matter what is pitched to you in a commercial and how things are pushed to people in general, a workplace is a workplace, no matter what it is. And, certain people get power in workplaces that should not have power. And there have to be ways to call out those people in power. And there are manipulative people that will take advantage of situations, and that just can't be allowed. You and I have been entrusted for many years combined to oversee children and teenagers. And every time we are put in those responsibilities, we take that very carefully. And, we know that they're going to live a life after us, and we have to respect that and not try to push our agendas onto anyone. And we don't want to force anyone to believe anything that they're not ready to believe. And it's okay if they disagree with us. We're not here to force our life onto others. And so, just some of the things that came up through this documentary series is quite eye opening to children's media and what is allowed in children's media. And I do wish that, you know, I'm not a big fan of like we need to have government, regulation and oversight over things, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, there are certain things that need to be said forth of, hey, the law is now this. We need to protect children, and I firmly agree with that. You know, I hate the fact that Jerry Sandusky in Pennsylvania messed up a lot of the structures that were in place to help teenagers and children. But some of the rules that have now come through it are really smart and really wise. And the whole goal is to protect kids. And I am willing to go out of my way to follow those rules, A, to protect myself, to protect them. And also
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, it is the right thing to do. And just because it's an inconvenience to me doesn't mean that it's not saving a child somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Because in our line of work, there are still those people that will manipulate and take advantage of their responsibilities and view themselves, as I heard on a TikTok account earlier, that they're there to give the love that a father would give to young girls.
Mm.
That's what God called them to do. It's like, no, that's not what you're there to do.
No, 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 no.
That is you making clear you're a creep and you're evil and should not be entrusted with teenagers.
That's red flags, and you should never be hired into that position. No.
Speaking of TikTok, have you ever seen the TikToks of the guy who walks around with the giant red flags and he's just waving it back and forth and saying how he's very uncomfortable with the things he's watching?
I have not come across him, no.
Oh my gosh, Sarah loves him. Every now and then I'll find his stuff, but the next time she sends me something where it pops up on, I'll send it to you. It's hilarious. He does do green flags though, you know.
Nice.
If a dad's being super supportive of a child coming out, you know, and all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, I love you anyway." It's like, "Yes, green flag."
No, I've never come across his stuff. Send it on my way. I'd like to see it.
I will. So, Brett, outside of that, A, what are your thoughts on that? And B, what's new with you?
Well, I mean, you're right on. We need to. When it comes to entertainment, we need to remember that what we're watching is being produced from a workplace standpoint. We need to do everything we can to protect those children that are in those positions to produce the art that we're consuming. And if you see anyone putting out there anything even close to what that guy on TikTok was putting out there, run your children the opposite direction, because that is not the right frame of mind for anyone in that position to be in. I am seeing far too many teachers and other authority figures showing up on news broadcasts and news reports for inappropriate relationship with students. And I mean, it's getting ridiculous. And I don't know if it's just the world shrinking because we have more media attention, or if it really is becoming more prevalent that we're just not taking care of our kids like we should be.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I think. As far as what's going on with me, as we record this, my kids are getting ready for training band tomorrow.
Woo!
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be 4 days. So they're going to bring in all the brand new rookie freshmen to the marching band and put them through their paces, and uh,
Nice.
yeah, get them used to what marching band will be like, and remind all the upperclassmen, hey, this is what you're going to be going through later this summer when we do the actual band camp. Yeah, little bit of a preview. So they're going to do that for the next
Yeah,
4 days. So yeah,
good. I need that.
yeah, yes, they do, and it's a good thing for them. And it's going to get them out of the house during summer vacation for a week, at least for the mornings,
Yeah,
and
fair.
exercising.
Um, yeah. So should we get into this episode, Brett?
Yes. Give me 1 second here, and then we'll dive
Oh, you're
right
fine.
into the synopsis.
I will say, before we even get into the episode, um, I this is the first two-part episode that this show has, and I just really appreciate the care that they take in this. And interestingly enough, some facts they do have correct. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's also interesting because, oh, excuse me. For me, I realized I am remembering this episode wrong. And so it's really interesting when we get there. I'll talk a little about the way I remembered it and why I'm wrong. But this is just in the sometimes with these type of 2-part episodes, it's like this things are happening and then immediately shifts to now it's the next episode. It's one giant storyline throughout the whole thing. But with this one, it really is two different stories happening
Mm-hmm.
weeks apart, and it's just the through line is, oh yeah, this is the time period when Topanga was supposed to move to Pittsburgh.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, they did a pretty decent job with it. So, good looking people, we are looking at the 16th episode of season 4, A Long Walk to Pittsburgh, part 1. The first time Boy Meets World is going to be running a 2-part episode. Now,
Yeah.
when Eric sees Sean kiss Topanga at Chubby's, he relays the upsetting news to Cory, and Sean swears the kiss was innocent. Cory is still angry, but when he finds out that Topanga is moving to Pittsburgh, he realizes he has bigger problems than he thought. This episode was written by Matthew Nelson, directed by Jeff McCracken, originally aired February 7th, 1997, and currently enjoys an IMDb rating of 8.6. Now, Tyler, last week our episode enjoyed a 13.7 share in the Nielsen ratings. So, where do you think our first half of this very important two-parter sits in the Nielsen ratings?
I mean, we got to be roughly right around that 13 mark again, I'm hoping.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Well, you would win the Price is Right. We actually jumped back up into the 14s, 14.41.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was really expecting you to be like, unfortunately, there's a drop here.
We dropped down to 6. No, back up into the 14s. Yeah. This is the first week of the February sweeps, which is why we've got the first episode of a 2-parter.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, can we just talk about that for a moment? Like last year, we had a really good season, yet it felt like every single episode was like, in comparison to overall, it was like every single week there was another drop, there was another drop, there was another drop. And I'm just wondering if like the audience like was just in this awkward period of like, is this for teens? Is this for families? And like the show couldn't really figure it out. So
Mm-hmm.
even though as dads, we've kind of been complaining this season, like, go to an adult, talk to your parents, talk to an adult. It feels like we're really hitting a stride with this audience at this time that
Yes.
they're understanding it better, and this more of a teenage maybe audience at this point, or just the
Yeah.
families that were there are just have kept up with it or come back to it. But either way, we've really hit a better pacing, I guess.
Yeah, they really have found their groove in season 4, where their audience is dialed in. They've had 3 years to build who they're telling their story to. And Friday nights, middle of the year, there's really not a whole lot to do. So we're going to stick around.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
let's dive in. We're going to start off at Chubby's, and Eric coming into Chubby's apparently to pick up some food. He's going to notice in the back room, Sean and Topanga are hanging out. Topanga very obviously stressed about something. And Sean is going to give Topanga a kiss while comforting her. Now, immediately, right from the jump, I have no problem with my best friend comforting my girlfriend with a hug or, some comforting words or whatnot. If I were in Cory's shoes, I would have a problem if I was getting reports that my best friend was giving my girlfriend a kiss. What would you be in those shoes?
Well, that's the thing is this episode starts so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, first of all, you're following Eric. Second off, the next thing you see is Cory or Topanga sitting in she's sitting on the pool table.
Yes.
So we know why they're interacting with each other. We don't hear anything. We get that. And I was paying attention tonight when I was watching it, but the angle in which Eric would see it would suggest that he is watching Sean actually make a move on Topanga,
Mm-hmm.
not giving a hug and giving a kiss on the cheek.
Yep.
Like, this looks like his two best friends, his best friend and girlfriend, are two-timing Cory.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually amazed with his reserve to not just go over and immediately attack Sean.
Based on
Um,
how he behaves further on in the episode, yes.
yes, that's the thing. Is like it's almost like he wants to distance himself from all of this. But yeah, Eric seems like he kind of flows with anger and almost has his father's temper a little bit at points. So I am really surprised he doesn't immediately go after Sean
Mm-hmm.
and yell at Topanga. But also, what type of an episode would we have if he did that?
Yeah, we wouldn't really have much of a story initially.
Correct. And we gotta wait on the two of them talking to each other and everything. So
Yes. Yeah, but we're going to follow Eric back home, and apparently he brought Cory a T-bone steak from Chubby's.
mhm.
Normally, I wouldn't go for a steak as a good choice from a restaurant like Chubby's, but we've seen Chubby's has grown in their
A little higher
cuisine,
quality.
and I've had some really delicious entrees from some hole-in-the-wall bars over the years. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's some really dinky bars that have some of the best wings that I've had.
Yeah.
So a
Although I'm
T-bone
a
is not
little
bad.
insulted that Cory wanted a double chubby burger when we both know he likes the clown burger.
I know. Where's the clown burger? Seriously, it was just 2 weeks ago. But Cory's getting a T-bone and Morgan's getting a grilled cheese. And
I do love.
yeah.
She's like, "Why do I have a cold grilled cheese?" He's like, "Just eat your food."
And Eric's going to explain it very clearly to Morgan, and we're going to watch Eric explain it to Morgan.
Do I normally do nice stuff for Cory?
No,
And why would I do nice stuff for Cory?
because something terrible happened to him.
Eat your grilled cheese. So I would be correct in assuming that this wonderful meal is actually one of those condemned man death row last meal kind of things. But that can't be because there's no cake. Dead man walking. Should we do this in the living room? We could do it there. I'm only telling you this because I'm your older brother and it's the right thing to do. Big build-up. Bad, bad, bad. Don't tell me. No, Cory, I think you gotta hear this one. All right, then tell me. As long as it doesn't have anything to do with Sean or Topanga, I should be okay. Okay, have you ever heard the expression,
I do say I love that he's like, really sounds like I'm on death row or something over here, but it can't be because I don't have cake. It immediately removes that there's cake.
Nicely,
Do we want to do it
very
here or in there?
beautifully decorated cake. Yes. Oh, big build up.
Yes.
Have you ever heard the expression? Step guy. But yes.
Okay, but literally,
Yeah.
that's the only scene we have Morgan in for the two-parter. It's just, I get a grilled cheese? Do I ever do anything nice for Cory? No. That's it.
Eat your grilled cheese. That's it. 2 episodes, and she wasn't in Chick. Was she? No, she wasn't in Chick Like Me either.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah. So this is all she's in for this 3-episode stretch. Yeah. And we don't have any no guest stars in this episode. We don't have Mr.
No,
Turner.
they were.
So we're down a regular. We don't have any guest stars. They're giving a lot of meat to a lot of our regulars, and unfortunately, none of them's going to Morgan.
Yeah. I mean, they do have a very expensive set of empty bedroom.
Yes. But Eric is, he is leveling with Cory, and he's being And Eric, we don't normally get to see a caring big brother Eric without a time limit on it, like we've seen before, where he gives Cory a 10-second time limit. He's being the protective big brother that wants to care for Cory. I mean, he even is willing to hold off on kicking Cory's butt when he shoves him over the couch in his frustration.
Yeah, Cory reacts very aggressively towards Eric. And
Yeah.
Eric, being a good big brother, says, I'm not going to kick your butt for that.
Yeah.
He wants to, though.
Cory is trying to prove Eric wrong. He's calling Sean and leaving a message on his answering machine. He's calling Topanga, leaving a message on hers at 7:00. And clearly he gets no call back from either of them that night. So,
okay, Brett, if you, seriously, even in our small towns we grew up in, if we heard news that was like going to eat away at us, would you not try to at least another option to go figure out, is this true?
Yeah, how is he not running over to the trailer park or to Topanga's and scaling up to her window like he does later in the episode?
Right. This is a go to her house situation, or then go to the trailer park, or go to Chubby's. Like, everything is in walking distance for Cory, aka also, Cory has the ability to drive there now.
Yes, he has his license and he can drive at 10 miles under the speed limit, but he can drive. But anyway, so we're gonna fade out of the teaser. We'll come back to Act 1, and we're in the lunchroom, and Cory,
because Cory's waited all day.
Yes, he's waited all the way till lunch. He's apparently not seen either Topanga or Sean, and they're
in multiple classes together. First thing in the morning.
Yes. They're sitting and Topanga and Sean are sitting and eating lunch together, and Cory comes upon them for the first time all day. They have lockers beside each other. They have classes together, and this is the first time he's seen them. So apparently Topanga's done a really bang up job of avoiding Cory and avoiding talking to him about this. It's pretty decent framing with Sean and Topanga, as Sean, Topanga.
This might be the first time that real cinematography has been on fire this episode. There's a lot of good shots this episode.
Yeah. But we get Topanga runs off. She just doesn't want to talk to Cory. She's having a hard time.
I have Feeny.
I have Feeny. Yeah. I have history. You have lunch. I have Feeny. Sean, he's not going to let Sean go, though. And
no.
Yeah. And he wants to be really mature with Sean. Yes. He can take his anger.
Do you have the knock-knock joke?
I don't. Do you have it in front of you?
Yes, I do. All right. I'm going to be absolutely mature about this. Knock, knock. Who's there? You and Topanga together at Chubby's last night. Eric saw you. You and Topanga together at Chubby's last night. Eric saw you. Who?
Ryder's line reading of that is chef's kiss. It's the way he gets to that end there and just waits the perfect amount of time for the who. It just sells it. But I mean, Sean tries to assure Cory that he was just comforting Topanga. It was just comforting a friend, and that he needs to wait.
He could say, "I kissed her on the cheek."
Yeah, all he says here is, what does he say? Innocent kiss. That doesn't make it any better in my mind.
Doesn't mean anything.
This is still
where was the kiss?
Cory's shoes. Yeah, if I'm in Cory's shoes, this is still my best friend telling me, I gave your girlfriend a kiss. Innocent as a modifier does not help there. It's still a kiss. It's not, I gave her a comforting kiss on the cheek, which still is a step too far for just comforting, but
Yep.
Cory is having an odd day. He is Cory's world is definitely upside down right now.
Yeah. Now, I can name on my hand less than 5 people that I'm willing to kiss on the cheek, and who's not my wife, my children. And I, honest to goodness, would never kiss a friend's wife on the cheek unless, like, I absolutely had no
Yeah.
choice. Gun to your
No.
head, she's gonna die. Kiss her on the cheek. That's really about it.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. That's about it for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Let her
But-
die.
But props to Sean. This is Topanga's news to share with Cory. This is not Sean's news to share. It's Topanga's, and he wants Topanga to talk to Cory. He knows Topanga needs to be the one to talk to Cory about it.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why we love Sean. Sean has a certain level of ethics and morals and does not believe he needs to be a messenger in delivering these type of newses. If it's not his information, it's not his to give out. And I do respect him so much for him. And he is trying to encourage both of them. You two need to talk to each other. You have to tell him. That's what he keeps telling her, but we don't get to see that end. Although I do love that he tries to say to him, it's just your brother getting in your head. You know? Why you let him get in your head?
Yep.
And I love the transition.
Leads to a flip transition, and Cory getting in Eric's face and telling him about how Sean is his best friend and Topanga is his girlfriend, and Eric's just messing with his head. Eric gets visibly upset, finds Sean at Chubby's playing pinball and slams him up against the wall and informs him that, yeah, do you think you can hurt my brother and not expect pain to come your way as well? And speaking as a brother, speaking of having 2 sons myself, I want to see this kind of passion in my sons. I want to hope that I had this kind of protectiveness for my own siblings. This is a brother who loves his brother and wants to do everything he can not to see his brother get hurt. And while I'm not a violent person, while I don't condone violence for violence sake, I'm okay with the way Eric's behaving in this moment.
Yep, me too. That's just probably the toxicity coming out of us, but sometimes you need to have that a little bit. You know, my brother and I have a complicated relationship. You and I both know that, but I still would not allow for anyone to try to hurt him. If I think someone's purposely going after him, trying to mess with him, or talk down to him, I especially would never let anything happen to my sister. The amount of times that either I or my brother would hear someone did something to her or something happened, and both of us would be like, who? Where are they? What's going on? Who you got to go hurt? And it's just, I think something is just innate in you of you need to protect your own. And it's something I keep trying to tell my son, my oldest, like, hey, you are the older brother. You're there to protect them. That's your job. And I love that we're seeing that side of him, and it's very important to see that side. It would be nice if we saw that a little bit sooner, but at least he did.
Yeah. He could have saved Cory some pain, but we'll call it what it is.
Not this one.
Yeah. But Cory steps in. Apparently he followed Eric. Maybe he rode with him. I don't know.
I think he knew what was going on when he said, excuse me.
Yes, he clearly knew what Eric was going to do. But either way,
I love that Cory also shoves him against the wall.
Cory steps in. He's made his choice and shoves Sean back up against the wall. He knows something bad has happened, and he wants Sean to tell him what bad has happened. And Sean again tells him, you need to talk to Topanga. He confirms, yes, something bad happened, but you need to talk to Topanga. Again, it is not Sean's news to tell. And again, good on Sean. He is telling Cory he needs to go to the source. He needs to talk to Topanga. And so we finally get Cory going to Topanga. He's scaling the tree by her window. It's nice how all of these houses in I'm going to assume Cedar Heights, since they grew up around the corner from each other and they live in Cedar Heights, the Matthews do. It's nice how all these houses have trees right by the windows that you can climb up by.
It's classic Americana, Brett. You know, you can easily get in and out of any window. You always have a
no one's windows
tree
have
for,
screens on them.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted a window without a screen on it. I grew up with screens on my windows. But
I kind of wish that in Girl Meets World, you would have had a scene of someone trying to get through a window, but those little locks that they have now, that like the little spring up things that prevent the window from going up. Would have been interesting to have them interact with those, but you know.
Yeah, it would have made it a little more difficult.
Oh well.
But Sean Cory sneaks into
Dangerous boy.
Yes, danger boy. He climbs in through Topanga's window. He doesn't notice, but the viewer who is paying any attention will notice there's moving boxes in Topanga's room.
And empty shelves.
Yes, empty shelves. We have been in Topanga's room before. There'll be a note.
It's very cluttered last time we were there.
Yes. And Cory does give her a kiss. She wants to know why. And he wants to be the last one to kiss you before I kill you.
Yep.
Yes. But Topanga is finally going to break down and fill Cory in that her family's moving. Going to move to Pittsburgh the day after tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big bomb to drop 2 days before you leave your boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And wow. And Cory wants to, I noted he wants to stop time while she's getting into her buildup. Because Cory's got this idea that he can, he's a 16-year-old boy. He's still living in that 1 foot in childhood, 1 foot in adulthood as a teenager. And he's really leaning into this more immature side of things, wanting to keep things the same rather than acknowledging that things will be moving forward. But I noted that. And so we'll skip into Act 2, where we learn a little bit more. Topanga's mom has been transferred. It's a done deal. So clearly, with Jedediah making instruments and Topanga's mom being transferred, the bookstore that used to beat the market giant is no longer in the picture. So, but they're going to move to Pittsburgh in 2 days. And I did a little quick math. This is, a 4.5-hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
This episode aired the same year that AOL Instant Messenger premiered, but months before it premiered, before Yahoo Messenger debuted. So really, phone calls and letters are the only way they're going to have to correspond to keep this going. No FaceTime, no access to text messaging, really. And even if they did, they're going to be paying for every message sent, every message received. This is 1997. This is kids who are just going to be keeping in contact with phone calls and letters. Good-looking people. Nowhere near what we can do today with keeping in touch.
No. I mean, my wife and I did long distance for our first 1.5 years of dating. And it was really hard, but we had things like Skype. We were literally texting each other all the time. If we had 5 minutes before a class, we might call each other. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm walking from this place to this place. Oh, cool. What are you doing? I'm just sitting here doing nothing.
Yep. Talking at the end of the day, telling all about your day until you fall asleep on the phone.
Which, ow. Sorry,
Good
for
looking
those
people.
that
If
are
you're just listening to the
listening,
audio,
uh, hearing me, ouch, my kitty cat decided that he wanted to climb up on me because he snuck into the room that I record in. So, gosh, Brett's got to do some editing to get that cat butt out of here.
Brett's not going to touch the editing. YouTube can figure out censoring of that. But yeah, so this is going to be, for good looking people 30 years ago is like ancient history, long distance relationship for some of our
Now,
listeners, I'm sure.
Brett, I have to ask you, you have teenagers.
I do.
Do you think there's a possibility that Topanga was told in advance, hey, this might happen? Hey, just so you know, I have to go to Pittsburgh. It's happening quite a few times. Like, do you think that there's been like an escalation and just Topanga either isn't paying attention or just doesn't care because it's not anything to do with her and Cory? Like,
I think there's a good possibility that there were signs. I think there's a very good possibility there were signs. And I think with as open as she is with her parents, that there was at least some discussion of a possibility that it could happen. Yeah, I don't think Topanga really is. I don't think it's truly coming out of the blue for Topanga. I think she at least had signs to pick up on and probably a discussion that there was a possibility before it was dropped on her.
right. Well, I keep thinking about that too. Like, there's no way. I mean, there is way, but like, I guess TV, but in real life, logistical speaking, for just have someone be like, hey, we need you in Pittsburgh, in 5 days, unless it's truly a big giant corporation that's paying for everything for her to go, it's really hard to see. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, Sarah did throw out to me of like, well, maybe she works for like a bank or something that is like with sales because someone got fired and they need someone to step in, quickly. And I was like, I mean, I guess so, but
even in that situation, she would go before the family and would go somewhere,
right.
in an apartment for, a couple of months while Topanga finished out the school year. And then she and Jedediah would move.
Yeah.
But this is a whole family uprooting and going. So this tells me that they had time to plan.
Right. And that's what confuses me as well. Because, part of our conversation too was her like boss's boss, the head of the one branch that my wife is a part of. There are 3 different offices in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Erie. Erie is the head office. So like he comes and he does do part-time in Erie, but he lives primarily in Philadelphia still. So like it would make sense logistically that you could still pull that off and be able to have a relationship with your family. And one of the reasons they do that is because he has kids still in school. So he doesn't want to pull them out of school just to go to crappy little old Erie. But still, I mean, I know this is just the way for the writers to have drama and to give space and a problem for Cory and Topanga to solve. And it's so weird the way they handle this now as an adult. And also, I will say, I always thought that it was the dad that was transferred. I don't know why it never made sense to me that the mom was transferred. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably just my misogyny coming in.
Well, could be. You need to. It's all your toxic masculinity there. We gotta beat that out of you. We gotta beat that out of you with more toxic masculinity. But Cory and Topanga, that's gonna be a TikTok video right there. Cory and Topanga they commit to each other in the bedroom there that they're gonna stick together. They're gonna make it work. And Alan and Amy are not as hopeful. When Cory gets back into their house and he's looking at maps on their kitchen table, And I want us to hear a little bit of their conversation here.
Cory's trying very hard. Now, why do we have to?
Because, Alan, it's going to be harder than he realizes, and I think he needs to know that.
Mom, listen, Topanga and I have talked about this, okay? If we believe we can make this work, why would you doubt us?
I don't doubt your feelings for Topanga. It's just that long-distance relationships are very difficult.
Okay, so what are you saying? You want us to just give up?
No, Cory, I'm saying that you have lived around the corner from each other all your lives, and now you won't. And that's going to make things painful.
Why is Mom talking about pain?
Because it may be tougher than you think.
Listen, guys, Topanga and I know what's in each other's hearts, okay? And if our hearts say that we're worth any sacrifice for each other and we're willing to make those sacrifices because we're going to be together for the rest of our lives, then why shouldn't we?
The rest of your lives?
Yeah, that's right.
Cory, you're 16 years old.
Yeah, Mom, so were a couple of friends of mine named Romeo and Juliet. And they turned out okay, didn't they?
Okay,
Through
Brett.
this all, go ahead.
No. You're a father of a 16-year-old. If your child came home spouting out how they are meant to be with someone right this moment, they're going to be together forever, and have you heard of a little thing called Romeo and Juliet, would your red flag little ew start going off?
Oh, I'd be waving a long 18-foot red banner. I would be Amy in this situation. I would be the one trying to instill some realism. And I mean, I have here in my notes, I really appreciate Amy's efforts to inject some realism into Cory's situation here. As much as I appreciate Cory's commitment and his desire to keep his relationship with Topanga going, he is not in a place where he is thinking through the difficulty. He's only seeing half of the picture at best. He's not seeing the work it will take to have a long distance relationship. He's not seeing the quiet times, the lonely times, the work it will take to make sure those phone calls happen, make sure the letters go out. And Amy is just, she's not, and she's very clear. I don't doubt your feelings for Topanga. I want to make sure that you understand there will be pain. And this is something that Cory, in his mind, he doesn't expect any pain in this. And he's got a hard lesson to learn. And the whole Romeo and Juliet thing is, I know Cory's never been the greatest student, but by this point in his life, he should know how Romeo and Juliet ends.
He was in a play about it.
He's had Mr. Feeney since he was in 6th grade. He has to have known how Romeo and Juliet ends by now.
You would think so.
Oh, I would expect it. Like, come on, they were doing Macbeth in 6th grade.
Yeah.
But we do get another conversation with Mr. Feeney at the fence and Cory, and that's great. It does involve Cory actually reading Romeo and Juliet, so props to Cory wanting to bone up on his good friends that are giving him this push. And
Yes.
Mr. Feeney is guiding him. You haven't really finished the play, have you? Skip forward. Oh, happy dagger. See, happy dagger. Well, Shakespeare, what a hack. But I did clip towards the end of their conversation because there is a point that I do really like.
Oh, well, now, for as long as I've known you, whenever you've been faced with adversity, you have always risen to the occasion. Now, I have no reason to believe that you won't again.
Do you believe that two 16-year-olds can be in love, Friar Feeney?
I believe that you and Miss Lawrence have something that you won't allow yourselves to lose. And if you search your heart and listen to its instruction, You won't go wrong.
Thanks. That was brilliant. My true journey to Topanga begins, huh?
I don't think he got quite what Mr. Feeney was trying to tell him there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I say all this knowing that this is one of those conversations with Mr. Feeney starts with Cory, not Mr. Matthews. This is when he's getting into life advice mode.
Mm-hmm.
But he's giving the advice. He's encouraging him that when you've had obstructions, when you've had roadblocks, basically, I've always seen you rise to the occasion. But he's giving him the guidance to search, not just to run off half-cocked.
Mm-hmm.
And Cory's response is to hop up, and granted, he gets encouraged, which is great. But his response is to hop up and run off with renewed vigor. And it's clear that Mr. Feeney's advice just didn't quite land in how he intended.
Mm-hmm.
But we do see that
I
he
think
does
so
really
often.
admire them.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think sometimes Cory tends to take the advice Feeney gives as go do right now, because most often when he gives instructions, it's go do right now. Go do your assignments. Go to class.
Mm-hmm.
Listen. Read a book. Those are directives. And he's trying to give actual life advice, which is not go to her, man. Give her a big old kiss. It's, you need to search in yourself. You need to listen.
Mm-hmm. Instead,
So
Cory's
I
idea is
just
to go propose.
Yep. Marry me. We'll buy a house. Start a family. Live in the same city.
Yeah. But yeah, they do realize that that's not feasible. But they do plan to write. They'll visit. It's not a hard drive between Philly and Pittsburgh. It can be done. They both
Mhm.
have licenses. They can both borrow a car if possible. We do get a great callback to Topanga having Cory's jean jacket, and Cory wants her to keep it because it's hers, as is he. Nice little romantic moment there.
Mhm. Oh God.
And then we get to Cory and Sean at Chubby's.
Hold
Lots of
on.
root beer
Would
bottles
you
and
hold on? A quick little deep dive, because I didn't think about this when I was looking up my deep dives, but just a quick one. I'll form it in the stage of a question. Brett, do you want to know at what year it was signed into law that PA will no longer allow minors to get married, even with parents' consent? Take a
what
guess.
year?
Any year. Just take a guess. Any year.
96.
Nope. Not even the same decade.
What year?
2020, Brett.
Oh. So they actually, it was almost feasible.
Yeah. If his parents had agreed to it, they could have done it.
They
But yeah,
could have.
2020,
Yes.
Brett. I had been married for 7 years at that point.
So if they had parental permission, they could have gotten married. Don't know where they would have lived, but
I had a child already. He was 3.
oh yeah. Well, that's fun. So let's hop into Chubby's booth. Cory and Sean have been emptying some root beer bottles and cola cans. Fun little shot there. Yeah, you're right about the cinematography. They put some work into this one.
Yeah.
Clearly indicating this is as drunk as 16-year-olds can get legally. And Sean is he's got this theory that TV is such a mirror of our lives that nothing bad is going to happen, according to Topanga. That she's not actually going to move because the girlfriend never moves away in TV. She always stays, even at the last moment.
The direct quote is, "Not a TV is the true mirror of our lives." Great.
But what about ER?
ER's real.
Yeah. But Sean believes this theory will hold because Cory doesn't deserve the pain that Topanga leaving will bring. Sean understands that Topanga leaving will bring pain with it. Yep. Even his best friend understands that there is pain coming if this happens. Cory is still... I have to say that at this point, Cory has to be consciously avoiding the idea that there will be pain coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Topanga's gonna come by the Matthews house and say goodbye as the Lawrences are leaving town. Sean and Cory are waiting outside. She's gonna come up, and Cory is he's in denial. He's not gonna say goodbye. He's not gonna give her a kiss. Not gonna say goodbye. He even turns his head away when she gives him a kiss goodbye. And it's honestly very sad because
yep.
I mean, you can see the hurt on her face that he is just so defiant in all of this that she's not going to move. And we get a very, very blunt line from Sean as he's realizing that they're not turning around. What the hell kind of TV show is this? Right. Which is very, very meta moment for the show.
Well, it's also, I think, the first time that any of the quote-unquote kids swear.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And good-looking people for 1997 on a TGIF show, that was swearing.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, too, is that Cory has really gone along with whoever is telling him the thing he wants to hear or is okay with accepting the most. And so, like...
Yes.
You know, it's like he keeps going from scene to scene, bouncing. Yeah, whatever gives him the less likelihood of being in pain, he thinks that's the idea and thought he wants to go with and stick with. And, you know, Cory does not treat Topanga right as she leaves. And, you know, again, being in a long-distance relationship for a while, it's not fun saying goodbye to the person that you love, but you know you're going to see them again. If you are meant to be with someone, you can handle a little distance. Whether it's high school or college or adult life, if you're meant to be with someone, you'll be with someone. So if you act like a child on the way out, you know...
If you can't handle distance, it's just a codependency.
Yeah. But I mean, I will say that Sean the whole time is going... She's going to turn around. The car's going to stop. She's going to get out. And then the car just continues and it leaves. Because that's life.
That is. That's real life, not TV. And after a small transition, Cory tells Sean that he's finally starting to feel the pain that everyone's been talking about. It took finally seeing everything that everyone was telling him would happen.
Yeah.
To break him out of his denial, break him out of his fantasy that things were going to go his way, that he finally starts to see and acknowledge that pain. And yeah.
And I have to say, coming up is probably one of my favorite tags of the whole show.
Indeed. It's pretty powerful, and it's very quiet. Eric
Mhm.
and Cory in the yard. Eric walks up. It's a little levity at first. Smells good out here. What is that? Trees? Um, but Eric's trying to keep things light. Yeah, what is it, Pittsburgh? I drove there last night. Met a couple of girls. Told them they're from Philly. They called me an idiot. Drove home. But Eric's trying to offer to help distract Cory. Offers
Mhm.
to go out to another restaurant to get things. Cory just wants, he doesn't want to go anywhere.
Mhm.
And and Eric tells him, I know you're my little brother, but I don't know how to protect you from this. And Cory
Mhm.
asks him, can you just stay here with me? And Eric
Mhm.
does. And I mean, I'm getting choked up talking about it. It's that powerful a moment for those 30, 40 seconds here in the tag that we really see two brothers who are really connected, and an older brother who
Mhm.
is that invested in his younger brother that he is willing to just be there with him and
Mhm.
show him genuine love, to sacrifice his night, his whatever it will be, to be there for him.
Yeah.
And that's where we end part 1, to be continued. Yeah.
It's a really beautiful tag.
It really is.
It shows the depth of Eric's love for Cory,
Mm-hmm.
and it just shows that sometimes the only person Cory can really be honest with is his brother.
Mm-hmm. It's a special
And
relationship.
it is. I hate how the show downplays it later on again, but in this moment you see their real relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'd also venture out there that the writer of this episode understands what it means to be a brother.
Yes, I'd be willing to bet that Matthew Nelson has at least one brother that he's got a good relationship with. So, Tyler, do you have any deep dives for us?
I do.
People, 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 people. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
Alrighty, where do we start? We start by going to our notes and then opening up our notes. Alright, so first things first, you are correct in that it's roughly a 4.5 hour drive. You can take a 5 hour option, but why would you do that? Now, I will say this is downtown Philadelphia to downtown Pittsburgh, and depending upon what boroughs or suburbs you're looking at, that makes all the difference in the world. Now, people that don't live in those areas don't realize that, but Um, but yes, from downtown to downtown, it is 305 miles away. So,
Mm-hmm.
again, depending upon where in Philly to where in Pittsburgh, it's anywhere between probably a little closer to like 280 to 350. It all depends upon where and all that mesh. So,
Yep.
also construction. Construction plays a huge part in all this too.
Construction's everywhere in Pennsylvania.
Yes. uh, so, would you like to take a guess, Brett, on uh, what the top rated boroughs of Pittsburgh are?
Top rated boroughs. Oh.
If this is from niche.com. What are the I'll
Niche.com.
see how many top cool. I made space at the desk so you could jump on there, you dummy.
Let's see. I'm just going to throw out some boroughs. Penn Hills, McKee Rocks. Aliquippa.
None of those are in the top 10 or top 20.
Yeah.
Aliquippa, I know for. Did you say Aliquippa?
Yeah,
Okay, that's not going to be in the top 10.
No,
Maybe
it's
the top.
not. I knew
top
it wouldn't
10
be in the top
worst.
10.
Okay,
I knew it
real
would be in the
quick.
top
Anyone
10.
out there
Just give me the
who is
top.
from Aliquippa / Beaver County, we have a love for that area. I've driven through it many a times, but good night. There's no way. I love that
we
place.
love
I
it.
really do.
It's not
I
going to
have a
land
heart
on
for
niche.
it, but
It's not going to land on niche.com's top 10. So
yeah.
No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna know. I'm gonna kick myself when I hear some of them. But yeah, go ahead and give me the top.
Maybe. All right, so we'll go from 10 down. So, according to this website, top 10, you have O'Hare Township.
Hmm.
You have Bell Acres, Edgeworth, sorry,
Yeah.
Fox Chapel.
Yep. Should have known that one.
I say that one you're going to be familiar with. Upper St. Clair,
Should have known that one.
Marshall Township,
No, wouldn't have guessed that one.
Bradford Woods,
Probably wouldn't have guessed that one.
no, Mount Lebanon,
Should have guessed that one.
Aspinwall.
Wouldn't have guessed that one.
I think I just heard listened to a murder podcast where there was a murder in this area. And then the number one suburb, apparently, to raise a family in the Pittsburgh area, Franklin Park.
Wouldn't have guessed that was top one.
Yeah. I will say that where'd that go? Moon Township, which I lived right on the skirts of, was ranked 18th. Seven Fields, you and I know that place, ranked 22nd. Cranberry, 23rd. Robinson
Cranberry
Township,
23rd?
24th.
I would have expected Cranberry to be higher.
I would have been lower, so, two birds, one stone.
Yeah.
Sewickley,
It's been
home
a while
of
since I've been Cranberry, so.
home of what's his name? Lemieux? No. Whoever that big time person is. Guy that's I know Sidney Crosby lived in this area because another guy lived there from the Penguins. But Sewickley is 27th. There is a Penn at 31. Trying to see if there's another one that you'll know. Oh, here's a little. Number 49. Beaver.
Beaver at 49. Ah, yes.
I'm actually amazed that one's not higher.
Yeah, that one probably should be. At least a few.
Yep. And the last one on the list, Gibsonia at 50. Okay, let's switch it up for a moment. ER. Is ER real, Brett?
No, but it does take place in Chicago.
It does. ER is a show about doctors who work in an ER at the County General Hospital in Chicago. They grapple with ups and downs in their personal and professional lives while trying to give apt medical care to their patients. Sounds like Grey's Anatomy to me.
Oh, it was a lot. Initially, it was a lot more realistic than Grey's Anatomy. They got a little more sensationalist as they got deeper in, but
yeah. The show ran from 1994 to 2009. Aired 331 episodes. A big name from that show would be George Clooney. Trying to see if there's any other big names that I can recognize. I do know that there was this whole ER bump that anytime someone from that show would appear on another show or in a movie, it was a big deal at the time.
Yeah, George Clooney, Juliana Margulies, Anthony Edwards, Noah Wiley, Eric LaSalle. They had a lot of big names come out of it.
Right. So as you said,
yeah,
big names.
Their ratings for the first couple of seasons were regularly in the 30s and up even as high as into the low 40s on into the fourth season. Dang. They almost cracked 50.
Yep. Apparently, they had 371 Emmy nominations. Just general awards. 157 wins and awards, and 23 primetime Emmy wins. So, pretty good for a 15-year show.
Yeah, they actually had their one of their big claims to fame. I remember one year they did a live episode. They did two versions of it, one for the East Coast and one for the West Coast. If you had a satellite dish, you could record both and see which one they did better on.
Alrighty, so I was curious about the big-ish companies in Pennsylvania in general, Brett. Because, good-looking people, if there's a big enough company that they have headquarters either in Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, they have business in both of those cities and also Erie and in Harrisburg. And those are about the four biggest names in the whole state. Probably goes Philly, Pittsburgh, Erie, Harrisburg. Probably Harrisburg technically goes above only because it's the capital of the state.
Yeah.
But I've not been to Harrisburg yet. So, Brett, do you want to take a guess at the top 10?
I'm not even going to try.
That's all right. So at number 10, we have Genesis Healthcare. We have Philips Lighting North America. That's also, I believe, the toilet company as well. We have the Universal Health Services. We have, I hope I'm saying this right, Ryko. Not sure what that is. A name that people should know is UPMC. Healthcare provider in the area and also owns hospitals. COFCO, not sure what that is. Communications Construction Group, don't know what that is. Comcast, aka the only way you can watch any TV in the Pittsburgh area, which I still think is Bologna.
Yes, it is.
Amarcart, Amermark. For a moment, I thought that was the Acrisure, or whoever took over the Heinz Field logo, but
I don't
that's not
think they're
them.
even in Pennsylvania. I think they're in the Northeast.
Yeah. And then Securitas AB apparently is the biggest company in Pennsylvania. I don't know. Oh, that's based out of Lancaster. No wonder I don't know what that is. Interesting. Sorry, I was only looking at the one part, so I didn't actually realize what areas of the state they're actually in. Number 17 is Dick's Sporting Goods, by the way.
Yep. I used to have a friend that worked
Number
for
18 is Rite Aid.
Well, not them locally, like a local Dick's, but higher up in the chain.
Nice. PPG is number 20. Highmark 25. Not what I was expecting. The Eagle Pittsburgh, not the Eagles.
Hmm.
I think that's like supposed to be like American Eagle. Maybe. I don't know. I could be wrong. Just trying to see if there's any other United States Steel, Pittsburgh, of course. Allegheny Health Network. Bayer Corporation. There's a small part of me that was hoping it would be like the Steelers, the Eagles.
Well,
Okay.
they make lots of money.
Enough
but
of that.
I don't know if they employ enough people to be considered for the list.
That's very true. Well, Brett, let's end with this. What is Romeo and Juliet? Well, it was a play written by the legendary William Shakespeare early in
Billy
his
Bob
career.
Shakespeare.
Yes, but the romance between two Italian youths from feuding families. It's among the most popular of his plays. Literally, you can go through every single decade, and there's a new adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. Basically, always has some two new young stars. They are in it. It's all about them, and sometimes they get very much word for word. Sometimes it's, an adaptation where they're kind of getting close. Sometimes it's, a period piece, and sometimes it's today. So I think the last one I watched was Romeo and Nomeo and Juliet, about two animated gnomes of rival families.
Toby just had to watch the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet from '96 for school for one of
Yes.
his English and language arts class, and they've got that the stage adaptation that just caught a lot of press with what's his face Tom Holland over across the pond going on right now this summer. So
Yeah, I saw something about that too. Interesting.
It's timeless enough of a story to still be going on centuries later.
And those, Brett, are your deep dives.
Excellent. So let's talk about what we learned.
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
Draw me a picture, Tyler. What did you learn?
Well, other than the fact that the cinematography is great in this episode, and up until 2020, it was legal to get married at 16. Good Lord. I think the biggest thing that I learned, especially as a parent, is it's reinforcing that no matter at what age, you have to allow your child to go through hardship, and it's okay to tell them the truth of this is going to be difficult for you, and allowing them to be in that, because Amy is immediately trying to put her wall up to protect Cory's heart. She doesn't want Cory to get hurt. And Alan's perspective, I took it as, hey bud, this is going to be hard. Like, you have to realize that. And so they're trying to get him ready for this hardship, and his friends and his brother are really just trying to like help him get through that moment. And it brings to mind that you have to let your kids go through hardship and be there when they're ready for it. I think it's something we talk about a lot, but this is a really good moment because it really just comes down to his emotions and where he's at.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm along a lot of the same lines, that you need to let your kids have their dreams and their hopes, a lot like Cory did, but your task as a parent is to help them temper them with realistic expectations, because the difference between a dream and a goal is a plan, basically. And what Cory had was
Mm-hmm.
dreams. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't have goals, and he didn't have realistic expectations, and that's what Alan and Amy were trying to give him. And unfortunately, your kids are only going to listen so much to you, but having other
Yeah.
voices along for the ride should help. But my role as a parent is to give them the freedom to have those dreams, to have those hopes, but to
Mm-hmm.
be that voice of reason too, to help temper those with realistic expectations along the way, and to potentially be their safety net when the pain does come.
Yeah.
It's a very common reoccurring theme here on Dad's Meet World. This is probably not the last time we'll learn that lesson, good looking people.
Yep.
But
And that's why we talk about this stuff, Brett.
that's right. Even though Cory learns the same lesson week after week, it sometimes seems.
Again?
Yes. Sometimes parents have to teach the same lesson week after week.
Yeah.
But let's also take a look at.
I'm right.
No, you're exactly right.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
How would you grade the first half of A Long Walk to Pittsburgh, Tyler?
This is an A+. There is really, 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 really good acting this episode. They have one plot, and they're trying to get through it. We talked about the cinematography, how amazing it is this episode. This is an episode, I think, that the cast knew it was special. The directing knew it was special. I think the writers knew it was special, and they really brought it. For a first time doing a two-parter, they set up a really interesting storyline, and this is the first time where it wasn't within 22 episodes all problems can be solved. Even domestic violence was solved in 22 minutes in the show. But you can't solve someone moving away who's supposed to be there in 22 minutes. So A+ for me.
Yeah. I mean, I echo a lot of what you said. This is one story that they give enough time to breathe, that they're not trying to wrap it up in 22 minutes. They're giving Cory the opportunity to realize that he is going to experience pain after he has ignored the voices of reason in his life.
Yep.
We get to see some fantastic stuff with him and Eric. The only things that keep it from being an A+ for me, it's an A, it's a solid A for me, are some of those things in the beginning that we have to get through some of the heavy lifting to get us into the episode proper, where we get kind of an inconsistent, not necessarily an inconsistency, but an incongruity between Eric, the way Eric behaves initially when he sees Sean and Cory, to when he all of a sudden is overprotective big brother. And just the whole way that Sean, on the one hand, is the noble, yes, you need to talk to Topanga, but on the other hand is kind of overstepping his bounds too.
Right.
So solid A for me.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to part 2, because that's got a lot of stuff that I look forward to engaging with.
I can't look down upon you for just going with an A when I think it's an A+. It's okay. We had a couple weeks ago where I was like, this is I can't give this an A. I can't give it an A+. It's just an A. You're like, well, I give it an A+. And it's like, well, okay then. So it's just always funny to me, like the things that you'll forgive in an episode and the things I will forgive in an episode, and this firm stance on I cannot give it the A plus, and the other one's like, yeah, of course I give it A plus. Let's give it another A plus.
I give it an A plus plus.
Mm-hmm.
Or a C minus minus.
Yes.
Well, good looking people, before we go, I owe Tyler a dad joke.
Yeah, you do.
So, a priest, a pastor, and a rabbit enter a clinic to donate blood. The nurse asks the rabbit, "What's your blood type?" "I'm probably a type O," says the rabbit.
The whole time I think it was, don't you mean rabbi?
Oh, and
Nice.
one more for good measure. What happens if someone slaps you at a high frequency?
Dogs hear it.
It hurts. Well, good looking people, that is it for us this week. Thanks for sticking around, and join us next week as we dive into part 2 to see what happens when Cory and Topanga really do spend time apart. You can
To be
drop
continued.
us to be continued. Drop us a message at our email address, dadsmeetworld@gmail.com, or find us on any of our social media accounts, X, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, @dadsmeetworld, and pick up some dadalicious swag at dadsmeetworld.threadless.com. So, until next time, good looking. Or, well, actually, until next time, I'll see you good looking.
Back to you, good looking, and to be continued.
You know, how can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid? I want to be normal, spud!
We are the Timmers.
Dads Meet World is a production of Headfirst Studios. Headfirst Studios. Tell your story. Yeah,
I was just
Taco!
I still have my headphone in, so as I'm laying him down, all of a sudden I start hearing what you're playing.
I did forget you had those buds in.
Telegram from his teenager.
Vast emotional damage.